Hey guys, welcome back to Excel in U. Let's work on copying, pasting, inserting, and deleting data within our Excel worksheet. We're going to be using several of our quick keys today, and we're going to use them very often within Excel. Those are going to be Ctrl Z, which is undo, Ctrl X, which is cut, Ctrl C, which is copy, and Ctrl V, which is paste. We can also do much of this work manually, but the quick keys are much faster. To copy a cell, I'm going to click on it. I can manually right-click and choose Cut or Copy. Choose a different cell location within Excel. Click on that cell. Right-click, and I can paste. There are several paste options. The standard paste option simply transfers the data from one location to another. We will talk about special paste options in other classes, especially as they relate to data that is derived from a formula. To delete data within a cell, I can use the delete key. This deletes all data, including formulas, from a cell. I can do this again using the quick keys. Ctrl C to copy, select my new cell, Ctrl V to paste. If I don't want to remove any formatting or formulas from a cell, I can use the backspace key as well. This only deletes the data that is visible and allows me to start typing in new data. So in the future, when you're working with formulas, be mindful to use the backspace key so that you're not removing the formula, only the data the formula has derived. This is also helpful when you're using data validation, such as drop-down lists. To select a larger range of cells, we can use any of our selecting formats. We can use our Ctrl C and our Ctrl V to copy entire ranges of data. You'll notice that the format of the cell remained the size necessary for the data that came into that cell. We've talked about formatting cell size and wrap text options, so you can see how those options come into play as I copy my data into cells that are varying sizes, so do be mindful of that. If I accidentally copied over data, or I copied into the wrong place and I want to try again, this is where Ctrl Z comes into place. I use Ctrl Z to undo the last action, and I can continue to use Ctrl Z pretty much indefinitely until I reach the beginning of my work within that Excel worksheet. I can do this with separated cells or non-adjacent cells as well by selecting one or multiple cells, using the Ctrl key, then while holding Ctrl, hit Ctrl C. Now it doesn't like this because I'm selecting different cells from different ranges and trying to copy them simultaneously. So let's try something a little bit different, like using column B and column D. Then using copy, Ctrl C. I'm going to come down here, click, and hit Ctrl V, and watch what happens. Now the data from column B and the data from column D copied next to each other into B and C. So this is a great way to grab some data and not other data and keep it aligned with each other. And yes, they are still perfectly aligned. The name Alex and the phone number for Alex are aligned just as they are in these cells up higher up. Ctrl Z undoes that. On non-adjacent cells, Excel does not like to cut and paste, so do be mindful. If I come back here, reselect these, and try to cut, I'm going to get an error message. Doesn't like that on multiple ranges. But I can do this on adjacent ranges, meaning I can select a range of cells like this. I can use Ctrl X, which is cut, then Ctrl V for paste. Now this removes the data from the original cells and moves it into new cells. This works for an entire row an entire column or an entire worksheet. Let's give that a try. Let's use column B. Let's copy it over into column G. Let's take column E and D. Let's cut them into column H and I. Not liking how this is starting to look. Let's undo. Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z. Back to where I started. Same thing with rows. Select the row, copy it, and paste it into a new row. Something not commonly done, but you can if you want to. You can select a single cell, select a row or a column, and hit paste. The data from that one cell is now copied into every single cell in this row, or every single cell in this column. It takes a while because there's some 10,000 plus columns or rows, and you notice I've caused Excel to not be very happy with me at the moment. Now let's talk about inserting and deleting entire rows and columns. Let's say I have data in column F that I just don't need. It's useless, it's not going to be helpful, and I don't want it on my worksheet. I'm going to come up to column F, right-click, come down to delete. When I delete that, the entire row is deleted. You saw a little bit of motion up here. That's because if there was information in column G as well as in column F, watch what happens to the information in column G. It moves over to column F. It's as if the entire column disappeared from the worksheet, and so everything else was shifted over to one cell to the left. If I need to add new columns or new rows to my worksheet, and especially if I need to do so in the middle of data that currently exists, maybe there's another data point I need to have in between phone and notes, like address. I'm going to come up to column E, right-click, and choose Insert. The new column will always be added to the left of the column you selected. If I need to add ones, I can select F and G, H, I, as many as I need to. This is a numerical value. So by selecting 4 columns, I'm going to be inserting 4 columns. Right-click and insert. 4 new columns are now inserted. If I need to delete these columns simultaneously, I keep them selected, right-click, and delete. Notes comes back over to where it was with only 1 column now inserted. And I can start adding in addresses. If I don't like this column anymore, I can delete it. And notes comes back over to column E. This can be done with rows as well. So I can insert and delete as many rows as necessary. One thing I like to do is select a row, hold Shift, and use my arrow key to help me count how many new rows I might need to add. Let's add 5 new rows. 1 is already selected. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right-click and insert. You can see 5 new rows have been inserted. Let me know how you use these quick keys for Control, Cut, Copy, and Paste, as well as how you use inserting and deleting rows and columns to your benefit for your use case.